The year is 2019, and the future is looking bright for the Indianapolis Colts. They've got a good first-time head coach in Frank Reich. They've got a superstar quarterback in Andrew Luck. They've just had a monster draft class with Quentin Nelson, Darius Leonard, Braden Smith, all having really good first years as Colts. However, we know things took a turn for the worse for the Colts in real life. In the preseason, I think it was a game against the Bears in preseason. You can see we have the Bears in week 2 of preseason here. I believe it was a game against the Bears where Andrew Luck retired during the game on the sideline of a preseason game. Obviously, he didn't make the decision to retire then, but that's when the news came out. Boos around the stadium, all that kind of controversy and negative attention. And the preceding 5 years really have been a roller coaster for the Colts. They've been through a number of quarterbacks: Jacoby Brissett, Phillip Rivers, Carson Wentz, Matt Ryan, to name the best of the bunch, really. There's been Sam Ehlinger, there's been Nick Foles along the way. Anthony Richardson hopefully is going to be the next, maybe not the next Andrew Luck exactly, but the future of the franchise for the Indianapolis Colts. But what we're going to be doing in this particular series is going back to 2019, going back to that fated time when Andrew Luck did decide to hang up the cleats, and reimagining what the future would have been like for the Indianapolis Colts if he had never have retired. So what we're going to be doing in this opening episode is going over the team, having a look at the 2019 roster for the Indianapolis Colts. I won't go through the entire rest of the league because we can see what other teams are looking like as we progress through the schedule. But I do want to go in depth for our own team. So we do, of course, have Andrew Luck at quarterback. 95 overall, just superstar, not superstar X Factor. 30 years of age, on a big deal, on a big contract at this point, but looking really, really good. 96 throw power, really good short accuracy, and not bad accuracy down the field either. 94 throw on the run, under pressure approaching 90 as well. So we're really going to be able to do some good things with Andrew Luck. Marlon Mack, I liked a lot as a Colt. I thought he was pretty cool. Only a 79 overall in this particular roster, which I think probably is fair enough, I would say. Maybe he could push just into the 80s. But we've got Marlon Mack, we've got Nyheim Hines, shifty, elusive, third down back. He'll be returning punts for us. He'll be catching screens, that sort of thing. And then Jordan Wilkins, another relatively underrated player, I would say, as a Colt. But of course, a third string running back, 67 overall is probably going to be about right. T.Y. Hilton is going to be our main weapon this year. We want to target him down the field. He is a superstar X Factor, 27 years old, 92 overall. He's going to be a real feature of our offense. 95 speed and acceleration, 94 catching, 91 spec catch, 96 release is huge. So he's going to be our primary threat. We don't really have much else beyond T.Y. Hilton in terms of offensive weapons. Dontrell Inman is our wide receiver too. Chester Rogers and Zach Pascal round out the wide receiver room. Ryan Grant is down there as well. Not too much going on in the wide receiver room, to be honest. That's really going to be a focus of this first season in terms of acquisition. Trying to secure a second big-time receiver to go alongside T.Y. Hilton. Offensive line, very, very good. Anthony Costanzo, Quentin Nelson, Ryan Kelly, Mark Lewinsky, Braden Smith. This was the offensive line that really established the Colts as... established them as a top 5 offensive line kind of team. You know, put them up there in the conversation with like the Cowboys, the Eagles, these teams that you always expect to have a good offensive line. It didn't go that way the last couple of years. Colts kind of dropped off in terms of offensive line play the last couple of years. Up to this season, I would say, where they did kind of not quite return to the former glory of sort of 2018-19, but progressed back to the mean, basically. Tight end, we have a couple of good ones. Eric Ebron. I can't remember if 2019 was his 13 touchdown season. I wonder if we can see in here. I guess I'm not sure how accurate these are going to be. I think so this is probably actually is accurate. So 2018 must have been his 13 touchdown season. He signed 2 years with the Colts, I believe, and the first year was an excellent one. Caught 13 touchdowns. The second year he got injured, basically quit on the team, and was unceremoniously, dispatched, really. So that makes sense as 2019, only catching 28 balls and 2 touchdowns. But we'll try and rewrite history a little bit there and send him off on a bit more of a pleasant, a bit more of an amicable, kind of departure. Jack Doyle there as well, another underrated Colt, I would say. 81 overall for him, and then a young Mo Alley Cox. So that's the offense. Good offensive line for sure. Excellent quarterback, obviously. But we do need to upgrade in terms of running back, in terms of wide receivers. On the defensive side of the ball, this is where the work really needs to be done. We've got, I would say, probably 2 stalwart players, 2 fixtures, maybe 3. Grover Stewart is one of them. Only a 79 overall, but a superstar development player, and only 23 years old at this point. He was another one of the 2018 draft class who, part of that really, really excellent draft class compared to the Saints draft class from the year before that had Alvin Kamara and Ryan Ramczyk and all those guys in it. So Grover Stewart is a fixture at defensive tackle. He has very little help on the defensive line, though. We've got Danico Autry, Margus Hunt, and Jabal Sheard. Jabal Sheard will be fine for this year, but he's 31. He's not 31 years old. He's 28 years old. Actually, not quite as old as I thought he was at this point. How accurate the contracts are on this roster, I'm not 100% sure. I don't imagine this is accurate, because that seems cheap for Jabal Sheard. So I might need to go through and change some of the contracts and things like that just to get us on track. We do also have Taekwon Lewis, Al-Qadim Muhammad. We do have Kamoko Toure as well, but he's only in the lineup as a rush end at the moment. Darius Leonard would be the other of the stalwarts, I would say, on this defense. Shaquille Leonard, as he is known now, just 22 years old. Certainly doesn't have 31 years of experience. That's what Jabal Sheard said. That's why I said he was 31 years old. Just a second-year player, but an 87 run stopper at this point. Just start development. He probably, if it was the end of the 2019 year, he would probably have Superstar X Factor, because his first 3 years really as a Colt were almost unmatched, almost unparalleled in terms of the linebacker position. Anthony Walker Jr. and Zaire Franklin. I'm going to change Anthony Walker Jr.'s face just because it matches exactly Zaire Franklin's, and that looks a bit more like Zaire Franklin than Anthony Walker. So we'll switch that up, but those are going to be the guys that round out the linebacker core. Cornerback is rough. We've got Pierre Desir, Quincy Wilson. Quincy Wilson got shipped off to the Jets, as did Nate Hairston. There was a period of time where the Colts and the Jets were just trading non-stop. The 2018 draft was obviously the one where the Jets traded up for Sam Darnold. And after that, the Colts just sent them their, edge of the roster players constantly, it felt like. And Quincy Wilson and Nate Hairston were 2 of them. We do have Kenny Moore, but he's a slot-only corner. He can't play outside. At least he doesn't in real life. Almost never plays on the boundary and plays almost exclusively in the slot. Only 5'9", 190. Is, notoriously undersized, I guess. So he'll be our nickel corner, and he will be a fixture in that position. But obviously we do need boundary corners fairly desperately. Malik Hooker could be good. Colts drafted him in the first round and had high hopes for him being that kind of true center of the field safety, but it never really worked out. They didn't pick up his 5th-year option. He ended up on the Cowboys. He might even still be on the Cowboys. I'm not sure where he is these days. But again, we'll try and rewrite history there, try and make him into the player that the Colts thought he could be. And then Clayton Geathers on the other side. So lots and lots of work needs to be done on this defense. We've got Adam Vinatieri and Rigoberto Sanchez as our specialists. And then this is how we're going to be lining up in sub-packages. So like I said, Kamoko Toure will be coming in at rush end. Danico Autry is going to shift inside on rush downs along with Margus Hunt. Chester Rogers in the slot. Naheem Hines is a third down back. And where's my slot? Oh no, I've been over slot receiver already. Chester Rogers, Zach Pascal in there as well. And then Darius Leonard and Anthony Walker as our sub linebackers. So that is the team. I'm going to jump into training camp and try and get some of our guys upgrades, skill points, that kind of thing. And then what we will do with the remainder of the episode is play the moments in pre-season, building up to week 1 of the regular season, which we will go over in episode 2. So training camp was infuriating to say the least, but we did get a couple of skill points for a few of our players. We got one for Marlon Mack, so he will move up to an 80 overall, +1 juke and spin is not too bad. We did get a skill point for Eric Ebron as well. We'll probably go vertical threat for him, I would imagine. We want him to be basically an additional receiver for us this year. Since we are so lacking in that particular area. It does get a couple of blocking upgrades in there as well. And then we also have 2 upgrades on defense, I believe. So Anthony Walker is one of them. What do we want to go up here? Block shedding +1 would be good. So I will go run stopper. He's very close to another upgrade as well. So he does go up to a 72 overall. We don't get block shedding in there, unfortunately. We get zone coverage, we get strength, but no block shed. And then the other one should be for Kenny Moore. I thought we had one for. Oh, we do have one for Kenny Moore and for Kamoko Toure. So Kenny Moore can have slot. And then Kamoko Toure can have speed rusher. Man coverage +4 takes him up to an 85 to match his zone coverage, which is not too bad at all. And then we will give Kamoko Toure speed rusher. How is he a power rusher? Yeah, that needs to change. I need to change his ratings because he's not a power rusher at all. He is a prototypical speed rusher. So I mean, I'll manually upgrade. I'll just flip whatever power and finesse are right now. I will just flip. So we have 74 power moves, 73 finesse moves, and 64 power moves. So Kamoko Toure is now more of a speed guy. I did change 1 or 2 of the other ratings just very slightly on the roster. Zaire Franklin was much higher rated than Anthony Walker before. And although he probably is a better player in the league today, in 2019 that certainly wasn't the case. Anthony Walker was very good. And Zaire Franklin was he was a special teams player for the Colts really up until these last 2 seasons. So I lowered Zaire Franklin. I raised Anthony Walker a little bit. I think that was the only change I made. I think beyond changing Kamoko to Ray there. So one other thing I do want to do before we jump into preseason is sign a couple of free agents. So we do have 3 spots on the roster that we can fill. And there are certainly some areas of the team that we could certainly look to improve. So I think signing a wide receiver wouldn't be the worst idea. And Eric Decker is here. So is Percy Harvin. So is Jeremy Macklin. We've got Auden Tate. Lil Jordan Humphrey. Jake Bobo. Desmond Patman, who's a Colt in real life. I wouldn't hate signing Eric Decker, you know. We are so short at wide receiver. We can at least give him a shot on the preseason squad. I think another linebacker wouldn't be the worst thing. There weren't Navarro Bowman. Aren't really any linebackers to sign. Darrell Revis I don't really want either. And there are no real cornerbacks to sign. Wow. Yeah, free agency is looking thin. Elvis Dumerville wouldn't be the worst signing. I do want to try and develop Kamoko Toure this year, though. Chris Johnson is interesting. I'm going to sign Chris Johnson. An ex-Titan, so he will get 2 divisional games against his old team. And do we sign D'Angelo Hall? I think we have to sign a cornerback of some sort. And I think it's going to be D'Angelo Hall. I can't have Quincy Wilson playing cornerback for us this year. So Chris Johnson, he will slide in behind Marlon Mack as our primary backup running back. Nyheim Hines will be our third down back. So he's not going to get a lot of work just kind of running between the tackles. But he will certainly make appearances in games. He'll be our third down back. He'll return punts, those kinds of things. So we will play the moments here in the first game against the Buffalo Bills. And we have a moment immediately on defense. So let's see what we can do here. It's a 1st and 10 at midfield. So how this is a moment, I'm not... Okay, it's not a midfield. That's how. So a 1st and 10 in the red zone is how this is a moment. And the ball is swung out into the flat on the left. Josh Allen at quarterback for the Buffalo Bills today. It did tell us Matt Barkley would be there in the pre-match scouting report, but not the case. So trying to make a stop here in the red zone early. I probably should have turned injuries off for the pre-season here. I don't want any of our starters to get injured ahead of week 1. Pierre Desir makes the tackle. 3rd and 4 for the Bills now. We'll go cover 4. And we will commit to the pass on this particular occasion. And it's completed, and it's going to be a 1st and goal. 1st and goal at the 3. That was our man. Could have done a better job in coverage there. Don't feel comfortable committing to the pass on 1st down here, especially with Josh Allen. And LaShawn McCoy just weaves his way, dukes back and forth, squeezes through the gap that the offensive line created for him, and he's in for a touchdown. So we come on to try and convert a 3rd down early here. This one actually is at midfield. And we are going to run a counter with Marlon Mack. Eric Ebron coming across the formation. We should probably have Jack Doyle there instead. But, well, and that's the reason why. Eric Ebron completely whiffs on the block. We do convert anyway. And we make it down to the red zone. So, opportunity to get back level with the Bills. We're going to run mesh spot. We are just running with the Colts playbook at the moment. We may make a change there as the season progresses. T.Y. Hilton makes a big catch over the middle. We're down to the 3. 2nd and 2. We're going to try and spread the Bills out wide and run Marlon Mack up the middle. I'd like just a nice inside zone with 4 receivers spread wide, one of whom is Eric Ebron. Blocks are shaping up well. Ryan Kelly and Quentin Nelson combining there to make way for Nyheim Hines, who scores. So 7-7. Big 3rd down. So we're going to be playing a lot of cover 2 this year. That would be the system that the Colts were running in real life at this time. It would be Matt Eberflus, defensive coordinator, running his Tampa 2 system. Oh, I thought that was going to be a completion there. Matt Barkley is in the game as we enter the 2nd quarter. So it's going to be a lot of Tampa 2. A little bit of cover 4 mixed in there. Maybe cover 3 occasionally. What I do want to do, though, is get 2 good zone coverage safeties. We've got one in Malik Hooker. Clayton Geathers, not so much. I would like to get a 2nd good zone coverage safety so that we can play Tampa 2 and we can have, you know, 2 guys deep to protect those deep areas of the field. So Adam Vinatieri comes on to try for a field goal to again tie the game. It looks fairly good. Looks like it's got the leg and it's actually straight down the middle. So 10-10 in our opening preseason game against the Buffalo Bills. And our next moment is... So back on offense. Again, we are in the red zone. Again, we're going to run mesh spot. We're going to hit Jack Doyle underneath. Tackled up around the 11-yard line. Going to run wide corner. And look for... Do we have Eric Decker on the field? Not by the looks of things. Don't like the look of anything there. That was on earlier. Jack Doyle should have made the catch there. We should have released the ball a little bit earlier. But once we did release it, I mean, the pass was there to be completed. Jack Doyle just didn't really turn around and get his eyes on the ball there. Zach Pascal converts a big third down there. And it's going to be 1st and goal. Big catch through contact from Zach Pascal. And it's going to be Nyheim Hines again to run the ball between the tackles. Takes it down to around the 2. We'll see if we can't get Chris Johnson in the game. And see if he can score his first touchdown for the Colts. We're going to run a counter Y for Chris Johnson. Jack Doyle coming across to make a block. It's not Quentin Nelson anymore. He's out of the game now. Our left guard pulling out to make a block there as well. But we are stopped, and it is 3rd and goal from the 3. Let's run wide corner. Out of empty. Who is number 11? Dontrell Inman, potentially? Michael Pittman in real life these days, of course. And that's a great pass. Andrew Luck. I'm not sure who made the catch. It's Zach Pascal. 2 big catches on this particular drive. One to convert the 3rd down and to make it 1st and goal. And the second to convert the touchdown. A really good throw. I am using classic passing, so it was just a low throw there. A low bullet pass, I guess. So, 2-minute drive to end the first quarter. Nope, the first half. Zach Pascal with a big half of football so far. And he's going to make another catch over the middle. About a minute and a half left to go. So we are going to need to hurry up slightly if we are going to be throwing passes over the middle. We do have all 3 timeouts though, so... And we are sacked. We'll have to use one here. The Bills actually use one. And I guess that makes sense on 3rd down. Let's run some kind of screen. Let's run a cross screen with Nyheim Hines and just try and get back what we can. And then we can make a decision about 4th down when we get there. We will almost certainly punt. However, there is a world in which I would go for it. Nyheim Hines incomplete. So we're obviously going to punt now. And give Buffalo the ball back to end the half. Didn't think Rigoberto Sanchez was going to get it away for a second there. So we need to make a big 3rd down stop here to prevent the Bills from tying it up before halftime. Just 11 seconds on the clock. 1 timeout for the Bills. And quite some distance to go. They could, in theory, grab a field goal here. And it looks... They don't. I was going to say, it looks potentially as if they're going to go for that. However, the clock ran out and we went to half-time. So we do maintain the lead into the 2nd half. And we actually extend the lead 20-10. As Adam Vinatieri makes his 2nd field goal of the game. Not a lot happening for the Bills. So, on offense, again, defense doing a good job of slowing the Bills down. Most of our moments have been on offense, to be honest. So, 3rd and 3 here. We're going to try and stretch the field. And we do have Jack Doyle on the underneath route if we needed him. But pressure gets in. Can't get the ball away. Yet we are back on offense almost immediately. So 4th and 3 here. A big 4th and 3 in Bills territory. Just about. I like Nyheim Hines on this. I think he's going to be open. And he is. He's going to get there. That's all we needed. Just a little check down to Nyheim Hines in the flat. And we convert the 4th down. And move the ball into the red zone. Don't know why Nyheim Hines is getting so much work at the moment. Oh, he does a really good job there, though. Manages to juke away from that oncoming Bills defender. When we get into the regular season, we will be playing full games. We'll be playing full quarters, obviously. No more play the moments. So you will see every snap. You'll see every decision being made as well. I do like to choose my own plays. I don't leave it to Ask Madden or anything like that. And you'll see all the substitutions that we make during the game and things like that as well. I like to play 15-minute quarters. We like to keep things as realistic as possible. We want a sim experience where possible. Not always possible in Madden. But we'll get it as close as we can. So that means 15-minute quarters. Does mean accelerated clock. I've got it on 16 seconds at the moment because I do want to make a habit of analysing the defence, really looking at how they're lined up. Is it too deep? Is it a single safety? Are they pressed up at the line? I want to motion players across the formation to see if we're up against zone or man coverage, all those kinds of things. So plenty of time on the clock. What a play. No. Jacoby Brissett rolling out to his right. Throws back across his body. Clunks off the hand of the receiver. So we will be doing those kinds of things in the full games. We're not doing it here in the pre-season because we are just playing the moments and getting a feel for things. However, we'll be doing all of that in regular season games. Trying to give you the most kind of authentic, sim, realistic experience. Make it feel like you're tuning into an actual NFL game. Because the NFL is going away soon. It is the NFL... It is the Super Bowl, rather, this weekend as I record this. So just a couple of days away from the end of the NFL season. So I know you're all going to be missing football. So I'm going to try and give you that to you here on the channel. Nyheim Hines, again, up the gut. We really need to get him out of this backup running back role. Let's see. Let's bring Chris Johnson back in. And let's go with an RPO read bubble here. 2-minute warning is going to disrupt that. So let's get a little funky here. The 2-minute warning has sounded. So we are winning the game by a touchdown. 2nd and 8 here in our own territory, but approaching the end of the game, let's try a little something. As it clunks off Jack Doyle's shoulder. Jack Doyle's been so bad today. He's barely even known that the ball is in the air. I can only remember 2 times that we've targeted him. But both times he's just absolutely ignored the ball as it's thrown to him, and it's just clunked off his body somehow. Ooh, Nyheim Hines. The blocks were shaping up well there for a moment, but not for long enough, unfortunately. Good punt, though. It's going to be inside the 20. It is a catch on the sideline, but out of bounds at the 18. It's a good punt from Rigoberto Sanchez. Last drive for Buffalo then, almost certainly. We get a bit of pressure and we force them back to their own 5-yard line. Kamoko Toure gets in with a sack. That's big. We need help desperately on defense this year. We really have almost no pass rush whatsoever. Jabal Sheard is our best pass rusher. And I mean, he's fine. He's competent. But he's getting up there in age. He's not that good. We really need Kamoko Toure to develop. This is interesting. Single back bunch ace. They've got one running back, one tight end, two wide receivers. So I wonder who that fifth player is. Could go in big nickel just in case. It's 3rd and 10, so they do have a long way to go to convert this. I'm going to pass commit. And we're going to try and force them to try something underneath. And Kenny Moore is there. Couldn't quite make the interception, but does break the pass up. And it's going to be 4th down. The Bills are going to go for it. Let's go out in dime. Let's go with cover 3 cloud. And again, we will pass commit, of course. The game is on the line right here, and the Buffalo Bills convert. George Odom it was, couldn't make the tackle. Darius Leonard can't catch up, neither can Clayton Geathers. And Robert Foster, touchdown Bills, levels the game. About a minute on the clock. So we need to go and score. Let's see what this offense can do. We're going to go Trey open. We are going to go wide drag. We have all 3 timeouts. Jacoby Brissett is in the gun. They're going to double team. I believe that's Dontrell Inman on the left-hand side of the screen. Which could mean that we get somebody open on this right side. And it's a bad pass from Jacoby Brissett. Needs to get to the 38-yard line for Adam Vinatieri's leg to come into play. Don't really like our chances of that at this stage. So the Bills backing off a little bit here. Just 3 down linemen. It looks like they're in dime. And we do get a completion over the middle. So we're going to approach. I think we're going to have to take a timeout here. 3rd and 3. We can certainly convert this. And we're going to go with weak flood. We can afford to take another timeout here because we just need to get in field goal range. And we can take that second timeout when we do. It's a great ball from Jacoby Brissett. Jack Doyle down the field, across the sideline. And we are comfortably... We're at the 45. That looks further down the field than the 45. I was going to say we're comfortably in field goal range. I think it was the lines on the field that threw me off. It looked as if we were past the target line for being arranged for a field goal, but that's clearly not the case. We are now, however, over that line, and Naheem Hines down to the Bills 30. I don't think we need to take another timeout. I wouldn't mind running another play, though. We're not going to get time to do that, though. We've used too much of it. But we'll let it go down to the 2. And we will try a field goal from the 31, which makes it a 48-yarder. And we are going to get iced. It's going to make it a little bit harder. Still very much... very makeable. You would expect Adam Vinatieri to make this. A little bit of wind going to the left. But not too much. I think we've nailed this. And we have absolutely nailed it. 26-23. Colts win. It's only the preseason, but good to get the series started off with a win. I don't think we'll bother playing any more preseason games. I think we'll just simulate those ones. But good to get out there on the field and see how the team plays. So good to get a win on the board. Nice and early in the series here. Couple of upgrade points for a handful of our players. Some deep down the roster like Chris Milton. I will fill out the practice squad as well. I've turned practice squad stealing off. Just so that we can, grab a handful of players that we do like the look of. And who could potentially play a role for us next season. But without having to worry about CPU teams stealing them constantly. If you leave practice squad stealing on, you're just at the mercy of the CPU teams. Anytime you have a half-decent player on the practice squad, they just get nabbed. And I'm sure the CPU teams prioritize players who are on your team, on your practice squad, over players that are just in free agency, because there'll be a player just chilling in free agency. You'll go and sign them to your practice squad, and then a CPU team will immediately sign them. And I was just think, why wouldn't you just sign them when they were in free agency? Like, you signed them immediately after I put them on my practice squad. They've just been sitting in free agency for week upon week. Like, they're there for the taking. So just to avoid that kind of nonsense, I turn practice squad stealing off so we can have 10 players that we are grooming for the future. Clayton Gethers has star development. I did not notice that. Not entirely sure why, but I'm not complaining. So we will just sim this game against the Bears. I still haven't turned injuries off, which I really should. We're going to do the same against the Eagles. We do have a couple of not breakout development, but scenarios is what I'm looking for. Dontrell Inman wants to help out Chester Rogers. I'm just going to ask him to help him however he can. So Rogers will get a little bit more XP. I'm not entirely sure in terms of his ratings what he's going to need to work on. We do have a training camp standout as well, which is good. Who is that going to be? Anthony Walker. That's ideal. Let's put his tackling up. What kind of a boost do we get here? +5 tackling is huge. So I do also have Anthony Walker, Kenny Moore, Malik Hooker. Those are going to be our focus players for the time being in the series. So yeah, no, Kamoko Toure actually is the other one. So Kamoko Toure, Kenny Moore, Malik Hooker. Do I put Anthony Walker in here? I think we're going to unlock a 4th player as soon as possible. So he's up to 75 overall. And Kenny Moore is already in 82. Star development, nickel corner. So let's put Anthony Walker in here, I think. Or do I leave it as Kenny Moore? Cornerback is far more important. We do have a very good linebacker in Darius Leonard. I'm going to leave it like this for now. Let me know what you think, though. Should we put Anthony Walker in for either Kamoko Toure or Kenny Moore? I want these all to be defensive players because we do need so much help on defense. If we can grow one of those young players this year so we don't have to sign a free agent or draft a player there, that's going to be so much help ahead of next season. So let's just sim this last game against the Eagles. We can sim through the bye and we will be ready to begin the season. So no injuries is good to see through preseason. And we can safely simulate through the bye and have a fully fit squad ready to take on the Jaguars. We want to make the playoffs this year. A couple of divisional games to start. So we've got the Jaguars week 1, the Texans week 2, and the Ravens week 3. I am going to import a 2019 draft class. So I'm going to do that now, and we can finish the episode by going over the prospects that we might be looking to draft at the end of our first season. So let's round out the episode by having a quick look at the draft class. I'm going to show you the scouts and how we've got them broken down as well. So as far as I can tell, the order of the draft class is just the order that players went in real life. So Kyler Murray, Nick Bosa, Quinnen Williams, Daniel Jones, Josh Allen, TJ Hawkinson. I don't remember Josh Allen going that high, but everything else is as I remember it being in the actual draft. So he must have gone that high. Ed Oliver, Rashawn Gary, Christian Wilkins, Chris Lindstrom, Brian Burns in there. Dexter Lawrence, Jeffrey Simmons, Noah Fant, Andre Dillard, Titus Howard, Montez Sweat. This was the player that that Washington traded up for with the Colts. I believe 2 second-rounders they got in return. Jonathan Abram, Caleb McGarry, Byron Murphy, Rock Yassin was the player that the Colts took. Not in the first round, but with one of those second-round picks. Juwan Taylor, Debo Samuel, Sean Murphy Bunting. Wait, that can't be right then. Yeah, the Colts didn't take Rock Yassin at 21. So the beginning of the draft is the order that it went in. However, as you get further down, I believe that is not the case. Trayvon Mullen, Greedy Williams, Irv Smith Jr., AJ Brown, Taylor Rapp, Andy Isabella, Juan Thornhill, and DK Metcalf are at least the first 32 players on the board. We will be primarily looking for wide receivers in this class, and there are a lot of them. Marquise Brown, N'Keal Harry, Deebo Samuel, AJ Brown, Nicole Hardman, Paris Campbell, a player the Colts drafted in real life from this class. DK Metcalf is there. Deontay Johnson is there. Terry McLaurin is there. There are a lot of very, very good wide receivers. Even somebody like Hunter Renfrow. So lots of good wide receivers to keep an eye on. We would also be interested in basically any position on defense, but pass rush and cornerback in particular. So Byron Murphy, maybe. Sean Murphy Bunting. Trayvon Mullen maybe wouldn't be the worst. Greedy Williams. Not quite as deep. Jamel Dean. Not quite as deep at cornerback as it is at wide receiver. We might also be looking for a pass rusher if we can get one. Nick Bosa, I hope we're not in position to get. But Brian Burns potentially could be realistic. Max Crosby is in round 3 to 4. So potentially a good pickup down the board. Montez Sweat as well would be a good target for us towards the back end of the first round, where I hope that we are picking as well. Last thing I'll say about the draft class then is I'm not entirely sure how the ratings are going to play out. I haven't looked at the draft class. I haven't edited it. I haven't checked out the ratings of these players at all. All I've seen is what you've seen so far. So with players like Clelin Ferrell, he's a top 5 projection. I don't remember seeing him in the top 5 in the full class, though. He's not. So how he's a top 5 projection but not in the top 5 in the class, I'm not sure. I don't see him anywhere in there, so that's kind of bizarre. But Clelin Ferrell, obviously there was a lot of hype around him coming into the draft. He you know, did go early in the draft, but didn't pan out. Max Crosby went much later in the draft. He's projected round 3 to 4 in this particular draft class. Turned out to be a much better player than Clelin Ferrell. I'm not sure which way it's going to go in terms of the ratings. Will Clelin Ferrell be rated higher? Because that's what people thought of him at the time. Obviously, we have the benefit of hindsight. We know who turned out to be good, who turned out to be bad from this particular draft class. We know Clelin Ferrell turned out to be bad. So is he rated lower as a result? Max Crosby, we know, turned out to be good. Is he going to have, 80-something potential? Because we know he turned out to kind of reach that. Or is it going to be flipped? Is the person who made this draft class going to put in basically ratings what we thought at the time? So Clelin Ferrell is going to be the one with the higher overall and the higher potential. Max Crosby is going to be the one with the lower overall. Potentially a low overall with a high potential, I guess, would be good for Max Crosby. But I guess we'll see how that plays out as we progress. Just a quick look at our scouts then. We will be, like I said, focusing on wide receiver and cornerback. So that's our national scout, 3 stars. We are also scouting cornerback and wide receiver in the Northeast and the Southeast. So we're going to know everything about all of these players that we are going to be interested in. The West and the Central, we're basically looking at the trenches. Defensive tackle and guards, basically, in Central. And then offensive tackle and then outside linebacker, primarily pass rushers in the West. So trenches and then catching and not catching the ball is essentially what we're looking at in the draft. So we are all set up. We are ready to go. Sliders are in. Settings have been changed. Depth chart has been ordered. Scouts have been assigned. All that kind of stuff. We are ready to go for episode 1, where we'll be taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars at Lucas Oil Stadium. So a home game to start the season. So we will look forward to that in the next one. I hope to see you there. Take it easy.